Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Virtual College Exploration Series for all Illinois students. We're really excited to get to have you here today. Before I hand you over to our amazing panel today, I just want to give you a couple of reminders. Number one, your camera and your microphone are off as this is a webinar format. So if you're looking around for those buttons to click, do not worry. You have them off already. Also, because it's a webinar format, there is a Q&A function instead of the chat function that you would normally see in a Zoom meeting. So please go ahead and click that Q&A function, which will send your questions to our panel for them to answer today. I would also encourage you that if you like this session and you'd like to continue learning more, sign up for more sessions like these at IACAC.org. And you can go back and watch this session and others with their recordings at the same website, IACAC.org. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to our great panel. Thank you so much, and we're looking forward to chatting with you today.
All right. Welcome. My name is Will Abraham. I am the International Officer for Goldsmiths University of London, and I'm joined by two of my colleagues who will now introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Jay Shamlin. I'm with the University of Glasgow. Sorry, I'm not Scottish, but I live in Chicago, Illinois, and I recruit students from the Northeast and Midwest parts of the United States.
I am Bridie Troy, and I am with University College Dublin, also called UCD for short. We are Ireland's largest and most global university, and I represent UCD here in the Midwest.
So we're going to be talking to you today about why you would want to study internationally, specifically in the UK or Ireland. So studying internationally will definitely allow you to look at new things, explore new places. Degrees are recognized globally, so don't be afraid of perhaps not pursuing an American undergraduate degree. A lot of countries will allow you to specialize early and apply directly to a subject, which is perfect for students who have a genuine interest in their subject and are not so interested in a liberal arts education like the American model. It's also surprisingly affordable to study abroad, often cheaper than going out of state for private or public university out of state. So we'll definitely have a long chat about affordability as well. And it's a great way to explore new regions and countries of the world, particularly when you're studying in the UK or Ireland. It's a really great jumping point to travel all around Europe. The train systems are amazing, and Ireland is also a really small country. It's very easy to get around, as is the UK. So really great opportunity to meet new people. The universities in the UK and Ireland are very international, so you're meeting people from all over the world. And there's a lot of independence when you're going to school in the UK and Ireland. Dormitories are not quite as they are in the US, and you are often able to move off campus pretty early. And socially and academically, you'll be a little bit more, you have a jumpstart over your peers who might not be having the international experience that you would when getting a degree abroad. So when you're thinking about where to study, it's very similar to the United States in the sense that you'll have, large cities like London, Glasgow, and Dublin where you can study, or you could have a more suburban campus. UCD is a great example of a more suburban campus, or you can, have that more idyllic lifestyle in a small town. You also have more urban campuses that are kind of spread throughout a city, a more campus-based university like University of Glasgow or my school, Goldsmiths, or you could have a multi-site, which would be, several campuses throughout a certain area. Local transportation is also something to really consider. So when you're in big cities like Glasgow, Dublin, or London, it's very easy to get around via the bus network or the metro. But if you're more in a rural space, it might be a little bit more difficult to travel around. It's something to consider. Airports are also a good consideration as well. So when you're going to major cities, it's obviously much easier to access from the United States, but not always something that you really have to put much thought into. Regarding course availability and structure, it is a little bit different, and we'll talk about the differences between the UK and Irish systems and the US system. So, you'll have to be aware that you're applying directly to a program, and sometimes the structure is a little bit different from what you might be used to in American education. And then finally, we'll give you all the examples of what the differences might be between Ireland and the United Kingdom, and how to choose between the two, perhaps. When you're thinking about accreditation and recognition of these degrees, as I mentioned before, they're perfectly accepted and looked upon very favorably in the United States. So your international experience and education will really make you stand out. Many of our alumni return home with not only the degree that is fully accredited here in the US, but also international work experience. A lot of our universities offer work placements and internships that are built into their programs. When you're studying overseas, you'll also create a lot of international links. Like I mentioned before, all of our universities are very international. You'll be meeting people from all over the world, and those are great contacts to have, and it's a great way to network. For instance, like as a personal story, I studied abroad in Italy for several years, and I ended up moving back to the US, then getting a job back in Italy through a contact that I had, and I moved back in my 20s. So it's always an option where you can kind of travel around and meet other people and kind of have those connections for life. So now to kind of hone in on one area, we're going to talk about the benefits of studying in the UK. So the UK is kind of split into two areas when you're talking about the degrees that are offered. So in countries like England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, we have 3-year degrees that are very subject focused. So you apply directly to a degree, and then it's only a 3-year bachelor's degree. In Scotland, where University of Glasgow is located, there are 4-year degrees, and a little bit more akin to the American system, which I'll talk about in a second. But for England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, essentially you have a base 3-year degree that you can kind of customize a little bit. So as I said before, you enter directly into a program. So for example, if you're studying psychology, you're only going to be taking psychology courses and maybe some related courses for 3 years. So you can specialize early. If you're really interested in clinical psychology or neuroscience, you can focus on that topic for a good amount of your 3-year degree program, since there are no general education requirements like there are in the US. A way to kind of customize these is to either insert a work placement or study abroad experience, which could be in the middle of your program, or perhaps adding a master's degree on at the end of your program. Some universities have integrated masters, where it's a 3+1 program is what we call it, where you can actually earn a master's degree in 1 year additional to your bachelor's degree. So you could actually come out with a bachelor and master's in the same time your American counterparts would only have a bachelor's degree. And then kind of adding that study abroad or work placement in, sometimes it's called a co-op, in the middle of your program between your 2nd and 3rd years. Typically this does not result in a higher cost because you pay way less tuition in that year you take off, but you are able to kind of take advantage of a study abroad opportunity or do a placement in somewhere like London or Glasgow. And with the Scottish system, it's a bit more akin to the American system of education. So if you might not be sure of what you want to study, it could be a good option for you. So in the first year, you're able to choose 3 subjects, then continue on with 2 subjects, and then in your final year, kind of hone in on 1 subject. And then for your years 3 and 4, just focus on that and do your final year project and graduate with a degree in 1 subject. In this, for instance, it's physics.
Great, thank you, Will. So while there are many similarities to studying in the UK and Ireland, they are in reality 2 distinct countries with distinct education systems. So studying in Ireland is a similar experience, but a little different, and I'll explain that. And I mean this in a number of ways, in that it is extremely unique from the American system, just like our friends across the sea, and the various schools and universities that are set up in Ireland were built to reflect this European education system originally. But lately, we've adopted more of this Scottish-American hybrid to kind of give you the choice. Would you mind switching slides there? Great, thanks so much. So one distinguishing aspect of studying in Ireland is the fact that Ireland is the only English-speaking member of the European Union. So this really makes it a great gateway for American students to come to Europe, but they can learn in their own native language. And universities in Ireland are set up to incorporate the UK structure and the American structure. So Will kind of talked about this, so I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I'll just go over real quick. We offer direct entry courses for students who know exactly what they want to do. I always like to say that if you know that you want to study engineering in the future, we're not going to make you read any Beowulf. Likewise, if you want to be an English major on your first day of college, you won't have to take any math or statistics courses. And this is really great because you save a lot of time and money in not taking these liberal arts and sciences courses. Or I'm sorry, in these general education courses. So alternatively, if you are like me and you're 18 years old and you have no idea what you want to do, that's fine. We also offer a liberal arts and sciences program, which is very similar to your 4-year American degree. And this is for students who are a little undecided, want to try out a couple different pathways before they go on. And these are 4-year programs where, like Will said, you kind of explore a few different options in the first 2 years and then hone it after that. And so this is the way that many Irish universities are set up, and it's to kind of encompass both of these education systems. All right. Thank you. So one distinguishing aspect, sorry. I know many people get nervous when they hear studying abroad and they think, oh gosh, the price tag, but I promise this is not the part of the presentation where you have to lose your enthusiasm. In fact, studying internationally can be very price comparable or cheaper to similar US institutions. So most accredited universities in the UK and Ireland accept the US financial aid on the FAFSA. So we can offer federal and private loans. We accept the GI Bill, and I know most universities offer generous scholarships to their international students. Additionally, while you're studying in the UK or Ireland, you can work part-time for up to 20 hours during term, and this really helps you pay for college and kind of earn a place there. Additionally, when you're over here, health insurance is much cheaper than it would be if you were in America. So I know on average, this would be for the UK around £470 per year, which, as you know, is much cheaper than you might be paying if you stayed home. And it's a very similar price tag in Ireland. Thanks. So as you can see from the numbers, this is a very, very price comparable. You don't have to get so worried about it. And again, these all vary by courses. So if you're interested in taking a law or medicine course, these will be a little bit more expensive. If you're going into the social sciences or the humanities, it's going to be on the cheaper end. It really has to do with what course you want, but they're very price comparable. The cost of living in Europe as well is very similar to it might be in America. So like we're talking from Dublin, Glasgow, London, these are all big cities. And so it will be cost the same amount as it might to live in, you know, Denver, Chicago, or New York. Whereas if you choose to go to a smaller city on the coast of England, or a smaller university on the coast of England, that might be a little bit cheaper cost of living. And you can generally find these on all of the college's websites. All right, this is my favorite part to talk about because it is actually very exciting. Accommodation in Europe, I know I get a lot of students, after they ask me the initial, how much is this gonna cost me? And the second question I hear is, but where will I live? And most universities in Europe will guarantee housing for first-year international students. And this is really great. It's a wonderful way to make friends and just familiarize yourself with the country before you really get fully acclimated. And the thing that's so great about this European accommodation is that it's not the same, 5 students to a dorm room with bunk beds that we're used to seeing in our American movies. At European institutions, most of the accommodation is for a single bedroom. You might share a kitchen and a bathroom with 3 or 4 other students from around the world. So you're making these international friends like Will was talking about while you're living and while you're studying with these people. You also are guaranteed options to live on campus your first year, and then many colleges help you find accommodation off campus for your remaining years. And this is really great in that you can room with other students at your university, but still find kind of a safe place to live. Costs are very similar to accommodation at American institutions. It's usually, about the same, where it's a little bit pricier to live on campus, a little cheaper to live off campus, same concept. And the big price comes from if you choose to have a meal plan, it's very much self-serve. Oh, you're on mute, Jay. Thanks.
Important to thank you guys. I wanted to get off. Thank you so much. So overview here. Yes. So, the UK and Irish systems are highly regarded worldwide. I love the fact that anywhere, if you decide to live in the UK or in Ireland or come back to the States, or if you go to Asia, Australia, wherever you go, degrees are going to be globally recognized. And that's something that I love, is that, wherever you go, it's going to be a fantastic degree. Most of them have, in the UK, if you look at Northern Ireland, England, or Wales, it's going to be a shorter completion time, but Ireland and Scotland are going to have 4 years. But that does tend to be cheaper as long as you're not looking at a state school. If you're looking at these small liberal arts institutions, we can be a bit more competitively priced, contingent on the value of the pound. You can work during on your Tier 4 visa. You're able to work up to 20 hours a week part-time while you're in school, or 40 hours a week when you're out of school. So if you stay for summer break or winter break, you can work full-time. And I'm sure each school has their own career services, so they can help you find a part-time job, or you can do it on your own. Either one works. As well as the fact that, national health care is going to be something that you are going to qualify for, which I think is fantastic. It's something that you're worried about, is that I think the students pay a total of, around $1,300 total for the 4 years to be on the healthcare system, which is great. As I said, we accept FAFSA and GI Bill too. And that, I love the fact that if you want to stay afterwards, there is a great career services department that try to help you get a Tier 2 visa, or just, there's great alumni networks across the United States as well, too, if you decide to come back as well. Oh, and you do get up to 2 years after graduation to work on that student visa. So if you want to spend some time backpacking or trying to find a job, or you really want to stay in the UK, you get up to 2 years after graduation if you obtain an undergrad or a master's degree in the United Kingdom. Now, how to apply to the UK. There's going to be 2 ways that you want to apply. The first is going to be called UCAS, and UCAS stands for Universities and Colleges Application System, which is something that we'll talk about in a minute. Or you're going to want to use direct applications or the Common App, which I know UCD has. I'm pretty sure UCD has their own application. Yep, Bridie nodding your head, good. And I know the Goldsmiths will have a direct application as well too, but they're also or you're not on Common App, are you, Will? I don't think so. They're not on Common App. So yeah, you'll apply using UCAS. Now, when you go on UCAS, UCAS is more than just for applying for school. You can utilize UCAS to help you research different institutions. So if you go online, there's a search bar where they can help you find, do you want to be in a big city, small city? Do you want to be rural? Do you want to have a city or a school that has 500 plus programs? Is this a school that has only 100 programs? It can really help you decipher through some of the nuances and specifics in niche programs, so you're able to find some universities that you think are going to help give you a well-rounded applications when you're applying to schools. So you only receive 5 applications. So now let me explain this to you guys. So if you love, for example, you want to go into business, right? And you love business, and now this is just for UCAS, don't worry about Ireland, this is for people in the United Kingdom. You love business and you want to apply to Goldsmiths, Glasgow, Cambridge, Edinburgh, and St. Andrews, right? Those are your 5 schools, right? Now let's say you love business and you love international business, and you love them at Glasgow. Well, if you apply to business at Glasgow and international business at Glasgow, that's 2 applications and you only get 3 more. I stop switching hands. You only get 3 more. So to give you an idea, it's 5 total. And that students I try to make sure that they remember it's only 5 total. Now, when you do apply, applications are going to be due October 15th if you're applying to any pre-professional program. So veterinary medicine, dentistry, law, or Oxford or Cambridge. If you aren't applying to those, then the schools usually have around a January 15th deadline. You guys are smart. Apply by the holidays. You'll hear back into the new year. When it comes to applying via UCAS, it's going to be a total of $20 or $26 for one application. If you're applying to more than one school in the UK, which usually you are, it's going to be about £27, or I think it's around $32 US total. And what's great is that there's invisibility, so they're not going to be able to see what schools you are applying to on UCAS. And then entry requirements. So in the UK, there are very strict there's minimums. There's a certain threshold that you need to meet, right? It's great because it is very black and white. I know that Glasgow's, Goldsmiths, although this year I know we all have our own test optional policies that we'll probably talk about later on when we get to the end of the presentation. But traditionally, if we weren't in a COVID time, usually what we're looking for is a certain threshold on an ACT or SAT score. And then some schools might require an AP score minimum or an SAT subject score minimum based on the program that you're going into. So for example, if you're applying to biology, they'd want some AP courses of a 4 or above in bio or chem or environmental science, something along those lines. And if your school doesn't offer APs, you would take the SAT subject test instead of that. Also, when you're applying using UCAS, personal statement is going to be a little bit different. So I know you guys have probably heard, in the Common App, some of the prompts are topic of your choice or tell us about a time of adversity or whatever the case may be. UCAS is going to be a little bit different where they want to know 75% of the academic side of you and 25% of the personal. So we want to know a little bit more about, if you're applying to business at Glasgow, what is it that made you want to go into the business? Is it an internship that you did during school? Is it a job that you currently have? Is it something that your parents, is there a family business that you guys have? There's ways to kind of stir in some of the personal side into making more of the academic. So we really want to know, what is it that is in your past that has made you want to go into your career field of desired choice. And then now we're going to go into a little bit about our presenters. We'll each talk a little bit about our institution specifically. And then at the end, if you have any questions, we'll go to those. So all to Will.
All right. So I'm Will again. I work at Goldsmiths, University of London as the International Officer for the Americas. I'm based in Brooklyn, New York. And Goldsmiths is an urban campus located about 10 minutes southeast of the city center of London. We're a top-tier public research institution, number 21 in the UK for the quality and international significance of our research. And we have 10 programs, academic departments, I should say, that are in the top 100 in the world. Some popular majors that students will go into, or programs of study that students will go into, are media and communications, which we're number 7 in the world for, art and design, number 11 in the world, psychology, computer science, politics and international relations. And we also have an undergraduate business school that last year was ranked in the top 10 in the UK, according to The Guardian. We have a student population of about 10,000, a very international student body. About 30% of our students come from outside of the UK, and also a very small university, despite the fact that we're 10,000 students. Our student faculty ratio is 15:1, and we have no lecture halls on campus. So the majority of our classes will be quite small. The total cost of attendance is anywhere between $36,000 to $39,000 per year, and that's including tuition, accommodation, any living expenses that you might incur in London and associated costs of attending the university. So if you have any more questions, my email address is there, and I'm happy to answer anything that you have. So next up, we have Bridie.
Great, thank you. So I mentioned University College Dublin is the #1 university in Ireland, and we have a proud history of welcoming international students. We are home to over 18,000 undergraduate students, 25% of whom hail from outside of Ireland. UC is ranked #1 by the US News and World Report and is in the top 1% of higher education institutions worldwide. Located just 20 minutes from the center of Ireland's capital city, UCD students have access to museums, nightlife, and internship and career opportunities right on our doorstep. Dublin has one of the youngest populations in Europe, and this makes it an amazing city in which to attend college because there's always something going on and you're surrounded by fellow young people. UCD especially fosters a great international student support system with a global lounge, on-campus accommodation, and over 160 clubs and societies. We also offer generous scholarships to over 80% of our international students. UCD offers many undergraduate courses, including a liberal arts and sciences pathway, like I mentioned, and professional programs in law, medicine, and veterinary medicine. Many of our programs are direct entry, offering this 3 or 4 years bachelor's degree or a 5-year combined master's. We have an extensive alumni network with a hands-on career center, making UCD the #1 college for employability in Ireland. You do not need a visa to study in Ireland, and you will qualify for a stay-back visa upon graduation. To accommodate our applicants, we are now offering test flexibility for most programs, and you can apply without standardized test scores for 2021. However, we do recommend SAT, ACT, or AP scores for the more competitive programs. So you can apply now via the Common Application or directly at ucd.ie. So thank you. Let's take it to Scotland.
All right, thanks, Brady. So, University of Glasgow, that's for last. As you can see, that is a absolutely quintessential, gorgeous building. It's actually just called the main building. Fun fact, that is the clock tower used in the movie Harry Potter. Harry Potter is shot all over the United Kingdom and Ireland, but I'd like to throw out little fun facts out there. It's one in the movie. The University of Glasgow is located in Glasgow, Scotland. Glasgow is about 1 million people as a city. Scotland is about 5 million people as a country. So it is a small country where there are more sheep than there are people, but you are going to be in the largest city. But what's also nice is about 30 to 40 minutes outside the city is going to be Loch Lomond, which is a loch is just a lake, in case you're wondering. But there's all the rolling hills, and if you're outdoorsy in nature walk, it's within 30 minutes of being from the city. We are going to be about 29,000 students total, about 18,000 undergrad, and the other 11,000 are going to be study abroad, PhD, master's students, you name it. We're going to be half Scottish students and half international students, but we're only about, of that 29,000 students, about 900 Americans come. So we're only about 2% US. So that's always something I let students know, that, when you're looking to go overseas, how American do you want to feel? Do you want to have a lot of Americans at the school, or do you want to have very few? When it comes to popular programs at the University of Glasgow, we have over 500 programs that we offer. We're founded in 1451. We're an ancient Scottish university. There's plenty of history there. So I get students who really want the Scottish lit, English lit, art history, medieval studies, textiles. That anthropology, that aristocrat kind of field. And I have students, we're ranked #1 in the UK for veterinary medicine, for dentistry, for nursing. We're #2 in the UK for computer science. All of our engineering programs are in the top 20 in the Russell Group rankings. The list goes on and on. But I would say our most popular programs for US students are going to be psychology and international relations are the two. For US students are the most popular. I am actually a part of a team, unlike my two fellow presenters. There's 2 more of us in the United States. So I do the Northeast and Midwest, so New Jersey and above, and the entire Midwest. Jason lives in DC, and he does the Southeast Central region. And then Ashley lives in Santa Ana, California, and does the entire West Coast. So we are the 3 that cover the entire United States and Canada as well. And we're able to be on the time zone and liaisons between the admission office. When it comes to the University of Glasgow, we are a test optional institution for next year, but it's highly recommended that if you're able to get into the exams, that you pursue doing that instead. It's just a sure way of getting in. And then when it comes to scholarships and the cost of attendance, I would say it can range anywhere from tuition being around $25,000 if we're doing arts and humanities. If we're doing sciences or engineering, getting closer to $35,000 to $38,000. And then we do offer undergraduate excellence scholarships available if you score a 5 on the AP exam or above a 700 on the SAT subject test. And those are going to be at £5,000 apiece for each year that you're in school. And that is about it. So thank you guys so much for stopping in on this presentation. If you have any questions about the United Kingdom or about Ireland, now's your chance to ask them. No question is too dumb or weird. If you want to know about the food or about the weather or anything at all, please feel free to pop it in the chat. So RET asked, are extracurriculars considered a part of academics in a personal statement? So I'm going to speak for the United Kingdom and not going to speak for Ireland. I'll be, not to be blunt or harsh, but we really do care more about the academic sides of things. So extracurriculars, you can kind of, for example, if you're playing soccer, that's not an extracurricular I'm going to care about. But if you're a part of Science Olympiad and you're going into engineering, yes, that'd be something that they would care about in the personal statement. So just kind of use a little bit of your own noggin and think, all right, do you think this would pertain to the essay and be important to my admission purposes? That makes sense.
Yeah, I'll jump in and just say in Ireland, very similar. We don't ask for any personal statements, so we're really just looking at your unweighted GPA and your test scores. So it's great that you do extracurriculars, that's very fulfilling, but as far as your application is concerned, that's not our main focus.
Don't be shy. Any other questions, guys and girls? Give you a few seconds just in case if you're a slow typer like me. I am a slow typer, so. All right, Eva asks, are the semesters year-round? So I would say, at least at Glasgow, I'm pretty sure it's the same for all of us, really, that, it's going to be semester-based schooling, I'm pretty sure, for all of us. So you'll start school in either August or September for us at Glasgow. You go till about December, you get a month's winter break. You'll come back in January, you go for a few more months, and then usually we get a 3-week spring break at Glasgow. I don't know if it's the same at Goldsmiths, but in Glasgow, you get a 3-week spring break at the end of March into the middle of April. And then finals are going to be the last 2 weeks of April into the first week of May. It depends on when your final is. It can be at any courses over those 3 weeks, and then you're done. So it is going to be semester-based learning. Will, would you say that's the same for you, kind of?
No, we're actually on a trimester schedule. So we begin at the end of September and go until mid-December, and then you have a month break for winter, and then we have a winter term, which is the same timeline as Glasgow's winter term, but instead of having finals after your break, you actually go into a whole nother term and then end in early June.
I did not know that. I learned something new.
Any last burning questions?
Well, if we don't have any other questions, I think I can say that, it's fantastic that you guys are looking into going to school overseas. There's so many opportunities available for you when you're looking to go outside the United States that, I think you're not going to get in the States. So I think it's fantastic that you're starting now. And I want to say thank you on behalf of the University of Glasgow for stopping by on this presentation. Anybody else ready?
Likewise, yes, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah, and reach out with any future questions. If nothing else, just take a screenshot of our contact information right here, and if you think of anything later.
Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
I knew it was going to happen eventually. Thank you.
It happened to me too. It's cool. It happened to me during the presentation, so that's great.
Well, thank you all so much for being a part of this presentation today. We know that these presentations you may have some feedback for, so please fill out the quick survey that will be there when you close out of the screen. It's about 4 questions, and it is just a great resource for all of the panelists to have in the future. Also, I'm going to encourage you one more time to sign up for more sessions at iacac.org and to check out the recording of this session and others that will be available at the same website. But thank you so much for being a part of this today, and take care. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.